Okay, everybody, so today I'd like to show you how to make bacalao. Now, bacalao is Spanish for cod or codfish. And so the way we make it, we'll make it a little differently than what others are accustomed to. And we will use the salted version of the fish. Before we get started, I do want to show you one thing concerning bacalao. Yeah, let me show you now. So as I just mentioned, bacalao is Spanish for cod or codfish. And here's 2 packets of cod that I picked up at the market. These prices are crazy. And they're salted. One is boneless. They're both boneless. Salted cod. The issue is when a lot of our people go to the supermarket to shop with the intention of making cod or bacalao, they will actually buy abadejo. Now, abadejo is pollock. Now, of course, it's cheaper, but they look so similar that many of us, will make the mistake of buying pollock or abadejo as opposed to bacalao, which is cod. Now, most of us who don't have a lot of money, this is kind of pricey too for some pollock, will buy this. But we'll prepare it the same way. I mean, even in a lot of restaurants, when you order bacalao or cod, you're actually getting pollock. Okay? So, but what we're going to do, we're going to make the cod. We're going to actually mix them too. But just be aware of that. A lot of times when, a poor Puerto Rican or Dominican goes to the market with the intention of buying fish to make bacalao or cod, they'll actually buy abadejo or pollock. Either way, they're both good, and we'll prepare them the same way. Okay, let me review what you need. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna need when making your bacalao or your cod or the pollock is you need time. So at least 8 hours to a day. Why? Because we want the cod to soak in cool water to dissipate that salt. So that's the very first thing. As a little warning, if you want to make this, you need time, at least 8 hours. So let's say you want to have it in the evening. When you get up in the morning, you rinse it, you put it in a pot with cool water, you can leave it in the fridge. And when you get home from work, you rinse it again, maybe through another change of water, let it sit in the water another half hour, and then you can prepare it. If you do not get the salt out of these pieces of fish, you're going to have a problem, a very salty problem. Okay, so let me show you what vegetables we use when we make bacalao. Alright, so I have 2 packages of bacalao. The seasonings I'm going to use, onion and garlic powder. We're going to use some oregano. I'm going to use some annatto, achiote. I'm going to go for some coriander. And of course some salt and black pepper. Besides that, I'm also going to need a 8-ounce or 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. Doesn't matter what brand. I also should have showed you the olive oil. You're going to need olive oil. One moment. I like to show it. I'm going to use a bit of olive oil. And the vegetables that we're going to use, we need some nice starchy vegetables for the bacalao. I'm going to go and use 1 plátano. I'm going to peel it and cut it into slices. I'm going to use some yuca or some cassava. I'll maybe half or a little more than half. We're going to use some jautilla. Jautilla is a starchy vegetable known throughout the Caribbean, known throughout South Central Latin America. We use it in place of potatoes or with potatoes. They're very delicious. I'm going to peel these. I'm going to cut them into cubes or into slices. And we're going to put those into my bacalao mixture. I'm going to use a couple of bell peppers. A couple of slivers of each of these colors. I wish I had green, but I neglected to pick up some green from the supermarket because I didn't have any green with me. And of course, I don't have it here I'm going to use some onion and garlic. Should I put them on camera? Hold on. Alright, so we're going to use a whole red onion, right? And I put my couple of garlic cloves up there. That's about half a head of garlic. Okay, so the very first thing we need to do is give these fish a nice bath. Alright my friends, so the first thing I'm going to do, of course, I'm going to open up my salted pollock. Put them right in the pan. That's plenty. That is plenty. And just to use up the, I'm sorry, that's cod. You see, the terms mess us up. My intention is to make cod, but we're also going to add some of the pollock in there. So we have a nice amount of fish. A nice amount of fish. Now with some cool water, I'm going to want to try to desalinate as much as I can. I mean, you can smell the salt as soon as you open up this these packages. So remember, if you really want to make authentic bacalao, go for cod fish. It can be salted, or you can actually make it quicker just by buying a nice cod. Now, I just want to stop it here and show you, look how milky this water is. That's all the salt that's in there. You know what? I should move these guys out of the way. Let's get these out of the way because they're causing me trouble. So, what I'm going to do is also feel around for bones. Okay. I think these were boneless to begin with, right? In the packaging, it's okay, yeah, so they did their job. But sometimes they miss some, so you want to check. Although, the bones are small and tiny, and as a kid, I used to eat them too. Now look how less milky that water is, but it's still got a lot of salt in it. So now I'm gonna fill this. I'm gonna do like 2 or 3 more changes of water. If you want to, you can break up, the pieces of fish, if you like. They usually break up in the pan when you warm them. When you're in the process of cooking them. But you can break them up here too. I can't even talk right, speak right. So here's another change of water. I'm gonna do it 2 more times, and then we'll go to the next step. Alright, so if I show you the bacalao that I've rinsed, you can see I've rinsed it. Another, a couple more changes of water. I've broken up some of the pieces. Some I've left whole. And now what I'm going to do is, this is where the test of patience comes. I'm going to fill this up with water once more. Cool water. Okay, so now you can see I've submerged them in water, right? Today is Friday night. It is 6:10 in the evening. I should have done this ahead of time, maybe yesterday to make it today, but I will make this tomorrow, Saturday. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this and put it in my fridge. In the morning when I get up, I'm going to strain the water and put it into another change of water, have breakfast, step out, and then when I come in the afternoon, I expect to be home, 12, 1 o'clock. I will then prepare it for dinner. Okay? So you want at least, again, 8 hours for this to sit in water. You can do it in the morning, prepare when you come home. Ideally, I like to use a day. Okay? So I'm going to cover this, and this video will continue tomorrow, but of course, we are going to use time-lapse technology. Alright, welcome to day 2 of the Bacalao saga, the codfish saga. I realized I should have called this Bacalao Guisado because it's a stew. We're making a codfish stew or pollock stew. Between yesterday and today I did speak to a couple of friends and they said that they use the term bacalao for both cod and pollock. Whatever, you can decide which you're going to use. Let's go to the next step. All right, my bacalao was, well, let's take a look. All right, my friends, so let's deal with the bacalao first. So we had it in the refrigerator, soaking in the water since yesterday. Yesterday was Friday, today's Saturday. So I'm gonna strain that fish out. It's a lot of fish. Give it another little soaking here. And when you soak bacalao, it usually gets foamy. There's a little foamy stuff. That's nothing. Don't worry about that. Just you want to rinse it one final time. Get all that extra salt and all that stuff out of there. All right, marvelous. We have good clean bacalao, and if you want to, you can also continue to break it up into smaller pieces if you like. But I like big chunks, and they're also going to soften up in the pot with the heat, and naturally break into smaller pieces. Okay, so this is good. So we're just going to leave this here in the sink while we deal with the vegetables. Let me just move the camera over here gingerly. Is that a good angle? Okay, so what we have here, this is my cassava. I've cut them into half circles. I used about half of that cassava that I showed you yesterday. Here's the plantain. I cut them into little circles, little discs. That was one whole plantain. Here we have the one, I told you I was going to use several bell peppers, but I decided to go with the red because it'll be a nice contrast with that white fish. So this is the whole bell pepper. I cut some up into little cubes, into little squares, but others I left as strips because I like to have the vegetables match the strips of bacalao for those that survive as strips. And I did the same thing here with the onion. I cut some up into little squares, but the other half I made into nice slices, nice strips. Over here in the back we have my 3 cloves of garlic. I crushed them, diced them up. And lastly, I left this for last, I wanted to show you jautilla. Now, jautilla, I don't know if it's common here in the States, but as I mentioned, it's another root vegetable that we'll eat in the Caribbean and all over the Hispanic, Latin world. Move my camera this way. And it's just simple. You treat it as a potato. All right, I'm gonna peel it. And I'm gonna dice her up too. Another word for jautilla, I don't recall if I mentioned it in the video that I made yesterday, the part that I recorded yesterday. Another name for it is malanga, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Has a nice flavor. If you can find it, you can add this to your stews or your soups. It's really good. Okay? Just get your peeler. Or if you're old school like my mom, she would just straight up use a knife. Alright, get all that peel off. And I'm going to treat this like a potato. Let me get this little bit off. Like a potato or like a piece of cassava. Alright, let me peel the other one and we'll get to the next step. Alright friends, so there's my jautilla. I tried to cut them up in a different shape than the rest of the vegetables. Half circle, but they're smaller than the yuca, so we'll know the difference in the pan. Okay, so our next step is we want the tube root vegetables. I was gonna add potato, but we'll leave it out because we have enough starchy veg here. I am bringing a nice small pot to boil. I'm gonna boil these for at least 10 minutes. I'll test them out. I'll see if they're nice and soft. And if they're nice and soft, we'll put them to the side, right? We wanna cook up the bacalao with the vegetables and then add the root vegetables later. Another thing is the jaltilla, don't worry about them changing color when you take the peel off and cut them up, because that's how they react to the air, okay? They're like advanced potatoes. Okay, so I'm going to bring this water up to a boil, and I'm going to put my root vegetables, my plátano, my cassava, my yuca, my jaltilla, into that pot and let it boil for at least 10 minutes. In the meantime, let's deal with the fish and the remaining vegetables. All right, people, I have this nice deep frying pan. I'll usually use a nice pot, but we're gonna use this guy because I neglect him and he wants to be part of the party. Medium heat. Medium heat. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a nice amount of olive oil to the base there. Okay? Nice amount of olive oil. Let's get it all around the pot. Or if you're going to use a pan, get it all in like a deep pot or a deep pan. I'm going to use this deep pan, as I said. To this, we're going to add some delicious, you know the secret, I've told you, sofrito or recaito. In this instance, I'm going to go with recaito, which is the green cooking base. Okay? Because I'm running low of the red one. I need to make more of the red one. So, oh, the pan wasn't ready, but that's fine. 2 spoonfuls of my recaito or sofrito, whichever one you have. Let me put mine away. And what we're going to do is ooh, smells nice. We're going to stir it around for a bit. The thing about that recaito and sofrito, as I've mentioned before, when it freezes, you leave it in the back of the fridge. It'll basically last forever, but the color gets a little muddy, which you shouldn't be afraid of. It's still good to use. Okay. So those 2 spoonfuls are nice and, I think that's ready. Didn't even take a minute or two. To that, I'm going to lower my heat. I'm going to add all of the vegetables that we chopped up. The onions, the garlic, the peppers, everything. We're going to put it right in there. Let me gingerly place my stuff down. Someone I know at work says that I slam the cups and the spoons and the forks and everything I use to cook. Okay, we're going to stir fry this. I'm going to bring it up a little bit. When you add stuff into the pan, it brings the heat down. And also I lowered the heat. Oof, genius. And you're just going to stir fry this for a bit. I would say 2-3 minutes. Until the onions and the peppers get nice and soft. You should see the onions really become a little, you know, like translucent. Okay. You don't have to watch me do this, so we'll come back. Oh man, I forgot to record another thing. So when you're done with the bacalao, with the codfish or pollock, and you've rinsed it, and you put it to the side, and you prepare everything else, you're going to take that bacalao, you're going to put it in a pot, and boil it for 10 minutes, okay? That'll further help soften it, and that'll also further help with the salt. Okay, so if I remember correctly in the video, I put the bacalao to the side, and then it kind of skips to me preparing the pan with everything else, you know, with the tomato sauce, with the sofrito, with the vegetables, and then I put in the bacalao. That bacalao, that codfish or pollock, should have been boiled for 10 minutes. You strain it. If you want to break it up a little more, you can break it up, put it back in the colander, and then you put it in the big pan to cook with everything else. Okay, I noticed it the next day. Crazy, right? Alright guys, so this took about a good 4 minutes. Ooh, look at that. Looks like a nice fricassee, right? But I got my 2 vegetables here going. It didn't come to a full boil, so I turned this off just temporarily, and I'm gonna let this come to the full boil and test the softness of the vegetables, and then I'll continue. So it'd be nice if you can set this first, so by the time you deal with the vegetables, the other vegetables and the fish, you know it's ready to go. All right, I'm just gonna give it a couple more minutes, and we'll go back to preparing this. I strained my 2 vegetables. They are so good. I tried a piece of yuca and a piece of yautía. Oh my god, they're so good. Okay, so now here's my pan with the sauteed vegetables. I temporarily took them off the heat to strain the vegetables. I'm going to get it back up to medium heat. I'm going to add a dash more of the olive oil. Where is my, oh here we go, my little spatula. Okay, so right into there, I'm going to add my strained bacalao right in there. No reservations whatsoever. And I'm going to give it a nice stirring. This is a lot of fish, man. I underestimated the amount of pescado I have here. Pescado. Pescado means fish in Spanish. Of course, I'm giving it a little Puerto Rican accent. Pescado. Alright, so now the heat will help this combine. And what you may want to do, take a look. Like I said before, you may want to break it up a little more. When you buy Bacalao Guisado from a restaurant here, like in Brooklyn or Queens, from a Spanish restaurant, they usually chop up the fish into smaller pieces. But as I mentioned, I like nice big chunks. And I'll break some up, you know, but the majority of it I would like to, you know, have it into big chunks. Alright, let me bring this heat up. And I'm going to stir it a couple of minutes so that everything is nicely well incorporated. Okay. I'll break up some other pieces. And that's the point of this. You want everything to come nice and combined. Take a look. Alright. Alright, I'm just going to cover it and let it go a good 2-3 minutes, and then we'll come back to it. I forgot, I do want to mention I brought the heat down a little bit to medium low, but more towards low. Alright, we're going to let this go 5 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes. Alright people, I let it go a little more than 5 minutes. It's been like almost 7 to 8 minutes because I started doing my dishes. Okay, so now let's look at our bacalao in its preliminary stage. Woo, look at that. Looks kind of more like a soup, right? All those pieces of fish released water, right into the pan. So now at this point, what I want to do is I want to add all of my tube vegetables that I put to the side. I'm going to add my tomato sauce. Remember I told you a can of tomato sauce? I actually should have added the tomato sauce first, but whatever. And my seasoning. I am not... Okay, let's start with my other seasoning. We're going to put in some culantro or coriander. About a teaspoon and a half. We got a nice amount of onion in there, but I'm still going to add some onion powder. We have a nice amount of garlic, but I'm still going to add some garlic powder. About a little more than a teaspoon of each, because we have a lot of fish in there. I'm going to add some oregano. About a little less than a teaspoon. And some annatto. Just a sprinkle of annatto or achiote. Pepper, black pepper, a sprinkle. But I am not going to add salt for obvious reasons. So we desalinated this poor thing. Why would we add salt back into it? If you want to add salt, that's up to you. But dude, you don't need it. You really do not need it. Okay, so we're going to give this a nice mixing. Nice stirring. We want everything to be nice and combined. To make a delicious bacalao. You know what? Let me do this. Get it further combined. For our stewed bacalao. Okay, so now I'm going to pat everything down. For some reason, the plátano's all grouping up here on this side. They don't want to make friends with the other parts of the... Okay, alright, so that's good. So now, I'm going to cover it, and I'm going to let it go on a low simmer for about 10 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to prepare my rice, my beans, and everything else that I want to go along with this bacalao. Now, what I will say is there's one more thing that's controversial that Puerto Ricans are split over, and I have it in this pot. I put it in this pot when I took out the tube vegetables. I'll show you at the end what it is. But for now, we're going to let this go 10 minutes on a low simmer. Bye. Okay, people, it's been a little more than 10 minutes. I started doing dishes again. I do dishes as I cook to avoid a mess. But anyway, 10 minutes. Let's take a look at my bacalao. And here we go. Should I bring the camera in a little closer? There we go. That's our stewed codfish. So now, let me just give it a nice stirring. Now what I can do is, or what you can do, is let it cook without the top. If you want it to evaporate a little bit, if you want it a little drier. But I like this. I like it like this, you know. So I'm going to serve this with some rice, some beans. Do I have a salad? I should maybe make a salad. Alright, so this is what our stewed codfish looks like. Sorry people, I dropped the camera. This is what our stewed codfish looks like. This is live and direct, people. I'm going to turn the heat off and I'm going to serve it with the rest of my meal. Alright. Alright people, so here I got some nice white rice. That's a lot of white rice. I was trying to cut down on the rice. I got some black beans back here. The black beans I made the other day. But it's the last serving. Avocado slices. I don't know why I made this weird border. I don't know. The salad I'm going to have to make another day. I just don't feel like cutting up lettuce and tomatoes and stuff. Now my bacalao, what I can do is serve it right on top of there. Let me get more fish. I happen to get more veg there, which is fine if you want more veg. being gluttonous. I apologize to all. Alright, so this is stewed codfish, bacalao. I am going to sit down and enjoy this. One more thing. I told you that there was one more ingredient that was controversial that Puerto Ricans are split on. It is a hard-boiled egg. My mom, when she would make bacalao, she would use the water that is used to cook the tube vegetables, the root vegetables. She would use it to make a hard-boiled egg, and she would serve it along with the bacalao. Some Puerto Ricans think that's disgusting to have an egg with fish, but others say it's delicious. I don't know what to say. I say, do whatever you want. I'm gonna have it. Okay, so here's my bacalao. Let me give you one more look. We got the nice peppers in there, the onions, all the nice stuff. On top of white rice. We got rice and beans. And we got that nice egg there. Now, I didn't make a salad. I should have. I'm just spent. And the other thing I was going to mention is, you go to a Dominican restaurant, Puerto Rican restaurant, you can order these with tostones, but I figured we already have plátano in the plate. So, ooh, very hot. Be careful. Let's give the bacalao a taste, along with the white rice. Oh man, it's just steaming. You know what? I'm gonna let it cool down a sec. I'll be back. Okay, I think I let it cool down sufficiently. I felt like I was putting lava into my mouth there. Alright. Let's get it together with some rice. Mmm. Delicious. Delicious. We got a little piece of yuca here. Yuca fortuca. Let me get a piece of yautía. Here we go. Here's a piece of yautía. Mmm. You get the flavor when you chew into it. And let's just mix everything. Beans, avocado, rice, the bacalao mixture. Delicious. Now, with a hard-boiled egg, pardon me, when I was a kid, I would only eat the egg white. I don't know what my brother would do. I don't remember if my brother would eat the hard-boiled. I don't recall what he would do, but my mom was nice enough to leave me parts of the egg white to eat with my bacalao. Like, the difference of textures, excuse me, is what makes the experience so nice. I don't want to ruin this with hot sauce, so I'm sorry, baby, but we're saving you for another time. Alright, that's how you make bacalao, or stewed codfish, or pollock. Follow this recipe, and you will have a fishy surprise, but not in a bad way, in a good way. Man. My chair's squeaking, but I don't care.